Touching on the topic of singles buying their first home. We get these questions a lot from our single clients, whether or not should they go for HDB or should they go for private.
Particularly, I think we've been serving quite a fair bit of singles buyers these days. I would say their age is usually around 35, 30, between 35 to 38. That's when they start to explore what their options could be. The first question that we often receive from them is, should I actually consider a resale HDB or should I go for a resale private? We will cover that today.
Obvious reasons, 35 years old onwards, because the policy dictates that 35 years old, then you are able to buy a resale HDB.
The very two fundamentals questions that we will be checking with them first. And number one will be understanding what is the objective of this single buyer. Stepping stone in the sense whereby are there any end goal that this particular client, or what is the objective of purchasing a home to begin with? Is it likely a place where they do see themselves staying in the next 10 years or even 15 years? Or would it be just like a stepping stone to a better property, whether is it an upgrade or perhaps sell away and then go into a better location?
It's not just purely about upgrade. Right? Some people buy with the intention of maybe 15, 20 years later, I could apply for a BTO. When we come across buyers who actually do plan to exit, whether or not it's in the short term or the long term, we tend to be extra careful. Then when we touch on the forever home, actually I think there's really nothing wrong with that. Most buyers don't plan to actually exit from this home. They see the next purchase or they see this purchase as somewhere that they will probably stay for the rest of their lives. When it comes to like a forever home, I think then maybe it's not that crucial. If you see the unit you like, you are willing to pay a premium. Let's say, for example, if the unit is well renovated, located to good amenities, good transport nodes, then yeah, I mean, if you see yourself staying there forever, then we feel that it's not that important lah.
But if it's like a stepping stone, then we want it to be very carefully managed. The entry price today that we are going in matters a lot on the day of your exit, because if we were to enter at a high price, then maybe when you are intending to exit, because it's supposed to be a stepping stone to a better property, then the amount of profits that you get or the cash sales proceed that you have on hand when you exit on that day may not be as much already, which is why I think it's very important for us to know these fundamentals first.
Those spot units that actually can hold their value.
We will then want to go and understand on your affordability. We'll start to work on the financial numbers, break down from a range of a purchase price to see what is the monthly repayment and outlay that you are going to put in and whether it is within your comfort range. And how we do this is we will also stress test the numbers in both the best and worst case scenario to ensure that you have sufficient reserve fund to last you through the holding period for your home.
Right, so when we come to like the financials, it really goes down into the numbers. For example, a buyer with $800,000 budget, when they come to us, we will actually run these numbers. For $800,000 purchase, what is the monthly repayment? For let's say a $750,000 purchase, what's the monthly repayment? Or a $700,000 purchase, and so on and so forth. We run these numbers through, we break down the monthly mortgage to them, and we ask whether or not these numbers are comfortable for them.
Yes. Today, we will be bringing out two cases, real-life case studies, where we actually help our clients, both in the range of 35 to 36 years old, helping them actually go into a purchase. Two similar age, but very different outcome altogether, because after what we study and analyze for them, we advise them accordingly based on their objectives and their affordability.
For the first case study, 36 years old with a monthly salary of $6,500. Unsure whether or not she should go for a resale HDB or even a BTO. She also briefly mentioned about wanting to have a look at private, to explore into the private resale market. The objective that she had after we asked her was that she was looking to build passive income.
Yes.
And potentially to sell if or when she sees any profits.
What we do then next is really to go down into the affordability once we know what is her rough objectives, right? Knowing that she has a set monthly salary of $6,500, we do know that she has a housing grant of $65,000, adding $65,000 plus a current OA of $240,000.
$305,000 of funds available.
With client can actually comfortably afford a $660,000 resale HDB.
Based on her HFE loan amount as well. Her affordability actually allows her to purchase something up to $660,000. But we always tell clients not to overstretch and to work really within the affordability. Eventually, we brought her to make a purchase of $580,000. Which is a very comfortable amount. Like what we mentioned earlier on, the monthly installment of 1373 basically would almost be fully covered by the monthly contribution to her OA at 1365. Did we actually meet the objectives of this client? She wasn't sure whether or not she should go for a BTO or a resale. She mentioned about the private markets, and she was looking to build passive incomes and eventually to sell if she were to see some profits. Our advice and our approach to each of her concerns is we actually brought her to purchase a young resale HDB for a 4-room flat.
If she were to go for a BTO as a single buyer, she can only purchase the 2-room flexi today. Will she even get a good balloting number or not?
Yeah, because BTO is down to ballot, right?
Correct. That is when the advice comes in. And if she want to build a passive income, if she were to purchase like a 4-room flat, she can actually rent out the common rooms. So that's when she can actually build the passive income. Why didn't we go into a private market for her is, although yes, she do have a decent amount of her monthly salary at $6,500, but generally been very stretched for her. If you look at a $580,000 flat that we brought her to, right, her monthly mortgage can be actually comfortably covered with her CPF OA as long as she continue working. If she were to go into a private market, that is very likely whereby she will need to top up in terms of monthly cash on top of what her CPF is already paying for her. We did share both options for her, and we find that with a resale HDB, it will make more sense for her because her last concern is if there is any chance of it being profitable in 5 to 10 years time. So this is when it's actually very, very crucial for us to then identify and bring her to something that can actually hold its value.
Something that is safe. The unit that we actually spotted for her and she eventually purchased was a unit that is near an upcoming MRT. And the more important thing is that we did not overpay for the unit.
Yes.
So the valuation was actually around the $600,000 mark, but we purchased the unit at $580,000.
Yes.
So all these are the kinds of protection that we tend to try and look out for every client.
Coming to here, I think if you generally enjoy what we have been sharing so far with our videos, please help us to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. And if you do have any friends or family who is also looking out to purchase their first flat, or they are single or not, or anything that is property related, please feel free to scan our QR code over here and can reach out to us, and we can actually plan out for you and check on your numbers so that you know what you can afford comfortably to get.
Right, so the second case study, again, single, 35 years old with a monthly salary of $8,800. When the client came to us, the first thing that the client actually wanted was a U-Lodge. However, she was also open to exploring even resale HDBs or private resales. Objective of this purchase would actually be to a stepping stone to the next better property.
She do have thoughts of renting out one of the rooms so that it can also help to cover part of the mortgage, or if any, have any passive income.
So renting out the room doesn't necessarily need to be the common room. She's also exploring that she could rent out the master room so that there's more rental income.
Yes. Knowing the fact that she has thoughts that this might likely be a stepping stone to a better property, again, we share it to her. How is the growth looking at for both resale HDB and resale condo? Back in the last 5 years, from 2020 to 2025, both resale condo and resale HDB seen a growth in terms of percentage. For condo, we see a 38.26% of growth in the last 5 years, whereas for resale HDB is much better at 48.85% profit.
Over the past 5 years, resale HDBs actually outperformed private resale condos.
The main reason comes in because, as mentioned in our previous video, that back in 2020, there was actually a lack of supply in terms of HDBs out there because of COVID. There were delayed in construction for new BTOs. Hence, many of the buyers out there are technically, I would say, because of not much of an option, they will have to go back into the resale market. That is when the resale market actually goes up higher, and which is why we saw a growth in the past 5 years.
It wasn't a normal market. It was because of COVID.
Yes, but if you look into today's market, we mentioned multiple times that the government is pumping in a lot more supply in terms of BTOs. In the next 2 years, they are coming out with almost 55,000 of new flats, right? And with more MOP flats coming out, it's not in government's idea to want it to continue going upwards. They probably want something that is more stagnated this way instead. If I were to do out the graph that happens before pre-COVID in 2015 to 2019, which I would say is more of like a stabilized market, right? We do see that HDB has actually, in fact, a loss of about 1%.
But it's a flat line.
Yeah, it's very marginal, it's very flat. So there is no such growth that you actually see post-COVID. But what happened in the private market, right? In the private resale market, this is when then we also still see a growth of 31%. What does this say about growth trends between the two, right? I think it's very obvious that HDB is not meant to be
it's seen as an investment purpose.
Yeah, it's not a vehicle in government's context for it to be driving up crazily like the post-COVID effect, right? It's meant for it to be a stabilized public affordable housing. That is what the government vision is. But whereas for the private market, it has always been a free market to begin with. So many times, which is why you actually do see the exponential growth even before COVID happens.
In particular to this client, when she actually shared with us that this would just be a stepping stone to her next better property, we shared with her that HDB market being at an all-time high, we actually have got to be a bit more careful lah. Whether or not HDB prices continue to go up is really a question mark with all the supply is going to be pumped in. With the client buying with an investment thought, we actually advise her that you could consider the private resale market. Again, we find out the client's income, 8,008. We also checked on the client's current OA amount, and the client also shared that she has got a savings of around $200,000. So with all this amount, we can actually determine that the client can comfortably afford something that is around 1.29 million for a property purchase. We eventually brought her to make a purchase at 1.148. So again, we are stressing, we always tell clients not to overstretch their finances. So at 1.148, we actually also increased the interest rates to 2%. Currently, it's about, at the time of recording, currently it's about 1.5, 1.4%.
But we stress test it with a 2% so that we know what is the higher monthly repayment.
I mean, interest rates won't stay low forever lah. So we actually buff it up to 2%. So at 2%, at a 1.148 purchase, the estimated monthly installment would be 3,182. And the contribution at 1,680, the cash top-up would be around 1,005 per month. So the client actually did share that she intends to rent out the bedroom. With a monthly rental of about 1,002, the monthly top-up, instead of the 1,005, actually drops down to $302.
To pay for a home, a roof over your head, compared to a car today, if you were to purchase your monthly car repayment, that would be like what, $1,000 over dollars?
Easily 1,005, 1,006. I mean, from the videos that I've been watching, they are claiming that for a car, 1,005, 1,006 repayment a month is already cheap. So for a private property purchase at $300 a month, I would think it's really very decent.
Yes. So if we recall back, she has a cash savings of $200,000 that she was actually prepared to pump into the new home, and that could comfortably afford her up to $1.29 million of a home. Noting over here that we actually brought her to purchase a $1.148 million home, that leaves her with certain reserve fund that she was actually prepared to pump into the home. With this amount of reserve fund left, right, in the best scenario, so what does best scenario meant over here is if she continue working as per what she is doing right now with a healthy monthly salary of $8,800 and her current reserve funds that she has from the leftover of $200,000, it can actually last her comfortably out to 10.9 years for this home. But we also calculated for her that what will happen in the worst case scenario. So the worst case scenario that we are talking about here is in the event of any loss of job, or if she decided that, you know, one day I want to take a rest and all, I don't want to be working, how long can her reserve fund last her? That would be approximately around a year. For all our clients, we will want to work out what is the reserve fund and how long in the best scenario and worst scenario that it can last them out.
So we actually checked with the client that, let's say in the event that she loses her job, will she stay unemployed for over 1 year? She did say that not likely, she will definitely be searching for the next job. So which is why a reserve fund of 1 year, we actually lay it out for her and she thinks it works for her.
Yeah, so all these numbers were actually being presented, openly shared with our clients so that they can have the best decision made for themselves. So if we were to recall, initially she was pretty unsure if she should go for a resale HDB, a resale, or even a new launch. So we brought her to purchase a young 2-bed 2-bath resale condo instead of a new launch. First thing is, I think new launch will be extremely stretched for her case because she wants to build like a passive income and all. So
if she's looking for like a 2-bed 2-bath, it's easily like now 1.4 million, around there.
So then why not a resale HDB, right? So again, because she has an idea of it to be a stepping stone, so as we do know that resale HDB, based on the growth trend that we have showed earlier on, between the year of 2015 to 2019, HDB growth trend is actually pretty flat. She's looking at a stepping stone for a better property, then our advice for her would be to then consider a resale condo instead because of the potential growth trend that we have seen earlier on.
Well, of course, it's still working within her affordability.
She has intention to rent out to cover partial of her mortgage, and I think based on how we have seen and source out and identify this particular project that we bring her to, it has got quite a healthy rental demand, which is why we give her the green light to go into purchasing this development, because we do know that there are quite a healthy transaction going on for the rental over there. She has the option to either rent out the entire unit because she does have a place to stay at for now with her parents. If she were to rent out the entire unit, that would give her like a good healthy $3,000 a month, or a common room of about 1,200 that we mentioned earlier on that can definitely cover her mortgage. Important for her is that we help her identify what is a safe entry price, right?
This unit was actually valued at 1.2 million, and we actually got the unit at 1.148. So again, we always stress that we should not really be overpaying for units. The entry price really is really very important, and we always try to work within our affordability and to buy as low as we can.
Both are singles. Both case study, we did mention that they are between 35 to 36 years old. They have different numbers, different objectives, and eventually it led us to bring them both to a different outcome. One to a HDB and one to a resale condo instead.
So I think really the question really isn't so straightforward whether or not HDB is better or resale, private resale is better.
Yes.
The question really is about your objectives, what you plan to do with the property, and most importantly, we can't stress this enough, is to really work within your affordabilities.
There is no right or wrong as to which one that you are buying today. Really is going down to your numbers and the end goal that you have today. So if you find that what we have shared has been helpful for you, or if you are looking at also purchasing your first home today and you are unsure which is the route that you should go for, where are the opportunities at, and how to actually go into buying a safe and protected HDB or a resale condo today, please feel free to reach out to us and also help us to like and subscribe this channel. We will appreciate your help on that.
That's all. We'll see you at the next video.